All right, man. I'm just going to address these Triple G pay-per-view numbers that everyone seems to be stressing about. I'm starting to see them everywhere on all the mainstream media websites. Everyone seems to be in an uproar over his low pay-per-view numbers. So, although no official numbers have been released by K2 Promotions, Golden Boy Promotions, or anyone in Gennady's camp, seems to be the estimate somewhere between 120,000 and 175,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, I know generally it can take up, months to tally up all the numbers, but, with a number like 150,000, probably come up with that in a couple days. But anyway, from the beginning of the promotion, Tom Loeffler was publicly estimating that, hopefully the fight would do about 200,000 buys. So obviously, Team GGG, they weren't shooting for the stars, man. They were just trying to get their foot in the door, see how they do on the pay-per-views. A further indicator that they were on track with their projection was that Gennady's purse was like $2 million. David Lemieux was $1.5 million. So when you compare that to fighters on the PBC network, they're fighting on a free platform, and their purses are similar, man. So that that says a lot right there. And although their projected estimate was fairly accurate, one thing that they may have miscalculated was it seems like a lot of the sports bars, taverns, didn't pick up the fight to broadcast. And I know they pay a lot. I know some bars pay anywhere from $1,000 to broadcast a fight to upwards of $30,000. I know for the Mayweather Pacquiao, several bars in the area that the huge bars, they were paying like $30,000 to broadcast a fight, but they were charging $20-$25 to get in, so I'm sure they did well. But anyway, that's got to hurt, man. I don't know that too many bars actually broadcast the Gennady and David Lemieux fight. But anyway, for argument's sake, let's say that the GGG Lemieux fight did 150,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, that's not great by any stretch of the imagination. However, I also don't think it's a predictor of how likely his future pay-per-view buys will be. When you look at the superstars like Mayweather, Pacquiao, De La Hoya, Tyson, let's compare them and see how they did. So Mayweather, of course, being the self-proclaimed king of pay-per-view, when he started off, he wasn't a large draw either. He did, his first fights were in the 300,000. I think his all-time low was 325,000 pay-per-view buys against Baltimore. And then Pacquiao, he just obviously recently fought Mayweather, and they did over 4.5 million pay-per-view buys, but he also started, he was doing like 200, 300,000 range when he, first couple events. I think his all-time low was in 2006 when he only did 120,000 pay-per-view buys. Same thing with De La Hoya. He, at the time, he was the most marketable guy. He was a golden boy, and when he started out, he was doing 200, 300,000 pay-per-view buys. I think his lowest was in 1995 against Hernandez. He did 220,000 pay-per-view buys. So Tyson, on the other hand, I guess he's the exception. He started off, on top, man. He started, I think his was like 700,000 and immediately went to the millions. But even he did some flops, man. Obviously, at the end of his career, when he was washed, man. But he was probably just trying to get a check, and everyone knew it. But his last 3 fights, I think his last fight he did 250,000. But one of those in there he did 100,000, and then he did 150,000. But that was at the end of his career. He's I guess he would be the exception, man. He started off and stayed on top. But you have to keep in mind, the climate was much different when these other boxers had their run. In 2015, you have to compete against free online streaming. There's other pay-per-view events, usually once a month, that have unarmed hand-to-hand combat. You have the MMA, Bellator sometimes does one, UFC, and that's taken a lot of fans. And then let's just be honest. A lot of fans have just left, man, because of the politics, corruption, and games that are played in boxing. It's a whole different climate, man. But the 150,000, I think it was right on track to what they were trying to do. Historically, if you look at all the pay-per-view numbers, man, they go up and down, and it's not just the fighter, it's the timing of the event, and most importantly, it's the opponent. Triple G, he fought a good fighter, David Lemieux, and I enjoyed the fight. But let's be honest, man, Lemieux's not a household name. But you can almost guarantee, man, I can almost guarantee that if Golovkin fights Canelo, easily probably get 750,000. He fights Cotto, same thing. They both have large followings, good crowd, good promotion behind them. They'll do well. So, with that being said, I think people are jumping the gun. Talking about it was a flop. People were in hot shit over it. Man, they knew what they were doing, man. They paid the fighters accordingly. They didn't go overboard on the promotion. And, that's just my take. I'm out.